Personal branding, styling, and art direction for industry, shortened to your brand. So, the presentation that you'll be listening and following to today will be about how you go about packaging all of the great things that you have done, not only within university, but outside of that as well, any external work that you have done, whether that be for an organization or off of your own back. So it's basically all about how you go about selling yourself and how you go about putting that into things like your Instagram feeds and your social media and your website and your portfolio, even down to your CV and your cover letter. So first, you need to identify exactly what kind of a designer are you. Who are you? What are the fine elements that make you who you are? At this point, it's important to identify exactly what you are, so that in order that you can then establish yourself to an employer as a creative, as a person with a particular skill set, with a unique take on design. So first of all, it's important to understand exactly what sort of announcement you want to make of yourself. So whether it be that sort of cool entrance for somebody that's perhaps a little bit more introvert and is not necessarily the best at talking about themselves. So you'll be going for a far more casual approach to how you go about presenting yourself, whether that be in an interview or whether you're presenting a piece of work. Alternatively, you could have a statement arrival where you're really blazing in and you're allowing your personality to actually be a part of the work that you've done. So you like to think that you bring a lot to the table in terms of how you will present yourself and how you will go about explaining the work in front of either people that you're interviewing with, or alternatively, that could be with clients that you're working with when you do eventually get a job. So those are two very different approaches, different ends of the scale, and working out which one that you fit into is really important, because then it establishes going forward how you are going to present yourself, which is then going to lead into how your work is then fed to employers. So this example is from Spinal Tap, if you have seen it, great film. And the idea is you should go to 11. So if you have the potential to be able to improve upon a piece of work, then think about going to 11. You know, if you're made a few applications but you think you could make a few more, then go to 11. It's the idea that you're really sort of pushing the boat out and going the extra mile, using all of these sort of very motivational phrases to never give up, particularly when you're applying for jobs and trying to look for an opportunity. It can be very difficult to sort of motivate yourself. So the emphasis on keeping it at 11 and not letting that standard drop. And it's the same for when you're making work as well. You want it to be the best version of yourself. So make sure that when you are trying to put yourself out there, that you are making the best of the opportunities that you have. So when you have a brand, you want there to be a hook. You want there to be something that is going to draw, whether it be an employer or a consumer, into the product that you are selling. And in this case, it is yourself. You are selling your CV and your skills and your experiences and your portfolio. And you want to do it in the most inventive way that means that somebody is actually going to remember who you are, and more importantly, remember the work that you have done. So if you've got examples of a particular campaign that you've run previously and you're proud of that work, then absolutely put that at the front of your portfolio. How have you captured people's attention in the past? Have you used data, or have you just let the work do the talking for itself? Have you ever used music, a GIF, movie clip, anything like that? Think about how you are going to draw people into to you as a brand. Have a look at the skills and attributes that you have to ensure that they're highlighted in the CV and portfolio so that an employer can recognize them. Don't be a copycat though. You don't want to be sat there reeling off work that they've seen before, or even worse, to have just copied their work and tried to paint it as your own. It's not going to do you any favors, and whilst you are trying to align yourself with that organization, you certainly don't want to be offending them by wasting their time and showing them work that they already know about. So this slide is offering you an opportunity to just highlight the sort of things that feature within a CV, which will enhance the idea of how you view yourself and your brand. So the idea that your name could be in itself a piece of branding. Your skills are certainly a branding. They are the things that an employer is going to most desire and want to see featured on your CV, closely followed by any work experience that you have. And again, remember, this is something that doesn't have to be within a working organization, it can be within the university. You might have had somebody come in and set you a project brief. You might have had an organization come in and do similar sort of things. So remember that you can utilize those names and say, we worked in conjunction with these people. Your portfolio and website, again, are only going to enhance what your brand is all about, and any social media platforms are going to enable you to reach out to people, not just with a view to getting a job, but in general, just bringing them into the conversation about what you're all about. So this slide here is just standing out from the rest and looking at the different types of websites that you can use, and there are a broad range of them. I mean, the ones that aren't listed on here, things like the Dots, Creative Hub, Creative Access, going on Behance as well. All of those sites enable you to engage with people within your industry and also set up your own profile so that you can get found yourself. Having your own unique URL link, your own unique LinkedIn account. It's important to be able to have those sorts of things in your branding. It shows that you're serious. It shows that you've thought about how things are going to be represented. So really crucial that you sort of think about those sorts of things when reaching out to an employer. How you align yourself with a brand as well. It's really important to have that nice coexistence between you and an organization. You don't, as mentioned earlier, want to be a copycat, but you do want to be able to showcase that you have a number of skills which that company will desire in particular, that you want to have the kind of personality that's going to fit in with their organization. So do your research on them. Are they a more serious brand? In which case, do you need to be turning up in perhaps a shirt and tie, or do you need to be thinking about being a bit more chilled out? Are they a sort of more modern company that's happy to have coffee meetings in coffee shops and to be able to meet with clients at dinners and things like this? So really think about everything to do with you and how it is going to meet with them. You want to show your own USP and you want to be able to be creative and showcase new ideas, but you also want to be treading that fine line between also showing them how you could easily fit in their organization. So this slide is all about the different types of things which can be brought about to create your own brand. So whether it be your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your portfolio, your professional presence, the Dots, how you carry yourself in the street, the agency from Ravensbourne, YouTube, a cover letter, Twitter, Facebook, CV, whatever it may be, all of them are going to be connected into showcasing who you are, what you do, and how great you are at doing it. So really do think about making sure that all of these different aspects are in sync. They're all saying the same message, because it may well be that one employer finds you through your CV, another one through LinkedIn, a third one through your portfolio, or a fourth one through your Instagram. And you want them all to receive the same sort of message. So in the case of Stormzy, for example, when I went onto his accounts, at the time he had a single coming out, and he had just been featured on the front of Time magazine, and all of this was really around publicity around him and the work that he was doing and the music that he was releasing. He was involved in getting some people into education as well. So there were an awful lot of things that were going on at the time that made him an important figure, and a lot of people were going to his site. So he was making sure that everything on those platforms was the same as any other platform. And it's not repetition. It's not sitting there repeating the same work. That is making sure that your audience is fed the same information, so they are under no illusion as to who you are, what you're about, what you're promoting, what you're working on. And those are really important, because if you don't have those sorts of messages and instead your Instagram is focused on one thing and your website is focused on another, your portfolio is looking at completely different work, when an employer comes to look at all of these things, they're not really going to have a clue as to who you are and to what you're about. So it's really crucial that you get those messages in sync, so that when an employer does stumble across any platform, they're under no illusions as to exactly who you are and exactly what your work is all about. And when making presentations, think about how you go about presenting them. You don't necessarily want to be reliant just on PowerPoint. So see if you can utilize skills in things like After Effects and Premiere, and getting into boardrooms and actually trying to do things a little bit more perhaps with virtual reality, using holograms, things like that. Just be a bit more experimental with how you go about things, and also putting things up onto a TV screen. Maybe you can ask the university if they're able to do that. The marketing team are open to ideas. An impromptu branding campaign in a shopping centre. Be a little bit bizarre and creative. Make sure it's all legal and above board, and that you're not offending anyone or getting in anyone's way. But at the same time, make a presence, get yourself known, put your work up on a billboard, for example. Stick it up on the walls around university. Please use blue tack as opposed to anything that will cause damage. Even something like a branded badge that's got a QR code on it, something like that, just so that it means that people can perhaps find you in different ways and really learn about the kind of work that you do. So that is essentially what your brand is all about, and the purpose in which you are trying to get people's attention through the work that you've done, and to get them engaged and let them become a consumer, whether that be just a member of the public or an employer. Everybody will be a consumer for your work. So really getting that message across about who you are, what you're capable of, what you're planning on doing as well, but also showcasing exactly the quality of your work. So that in essence is your brand. That is what you're all about. And that is the thing we're here to focus on today.